welcome and thank you for joining us for our third webinar of the year. As a reminder, we are walking through the Resmark growth engine this year. So in January, Greg and I covered the draining phase. In February, we covered the planning phase. And today we are diving into probably one of the most important stages, which is the booking stage. This is where everything that we've actually been building comes and turns into revenue. And because we're going into such a critical part of the Resmark growth engine, we are going to be bringing in somebody who lives and breathes this every single day. So joining us today is Brandon Lake. Now, if you're not familiar with Brandon, he is the founder of Resmark, Resmark Web, and WaiverSign, and he's also a tour operator himself. He runs Western River Expeditions and Moab Adventure Center. How he does it all, I have no idea. So everything he's sharing today comes from real world hands-on experience. Before we jump in, let's do a quick intro. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Nikki. I run all of the marketing here at Resmark. So if you ever have any questions, feedback, topics you want us to cover, whether on a future webinar or on our podcast, yes, I'm plugging in our podcast, I'm your person to reach out to. And you'll also see Scott on our call today. If you are interested in learning more about what Resmark can do for your tour operation, he is the one that you are going to actually connect with. All right, with that being said, Brandon, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. I love this topic. Converting website visitors into tour bookings. So critical, like you mentioned. As we jump into this, I want to share just a little analogy. When we talk conversion rate, sometimes things get a little fuzzy in our mind as to kind of what that actually means and what the real impact of it is on our tour business. So let me share a little analogy with you. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have created an amazing experience and you want to sell it to the world. You've hired incredible staff. You know they can pull everything off just right. But before you can get anyone to book your experience, you have to invite them into this theater. And in the theater, they're going to watch a preview of the experience. Within the first 15 seconds, they will decide if they want to pay you $100 to have this experience, or if they will leave the theater and pay you nothing. So, this is a big deal. So you spend a lot of time and money on marketing. You build an amazing website. You do your SEO. You're showing up on AI, you ran ads, you send emails, you post it on social media. Maybe you even got a few influencers involved, right? You're doing all the things. The day arrives to fill the theater, and you have done it. 100 people walk into the theater, and every seat is filled. The preview starts, and 15 seconds later, 98 people stand up and walk out. 2 people are left who book your experience, and you get $200. Now, what if I told you we could make some changes to the preview and we could get 3 people to stay and book your experience, and you get $300? Or what if I told you we could get the same 3 people to stay, but you get $330 instead of only $300? So, this scenario, let's say it plays out every day for a year. Not getting 3 people to stay in the theater is costing you almost $50,000. That's the difference between a 2% conversion rate and a 3% conversion rate. And your average order values are probably much higher than this. I'm just using 100 people and $100 for simplicity in our math here. So this is actually a problem that we were facing ourselves. So let me back up for a moment. If you missed the introduction, I'm the CEO of Resmark Web and Resmark, but today and even before this, I've been running 2 tour companies, Western River Expeditions and Moab Adventure Center. And we had this same problem. Our revenue had been increasing at an okay rate year after year, but our costs had significantly increased in recent years. I'm sure a lot of you are seeing the same thing. And as a result, our profitability was running thin. We not only needed more people to stay in the theater, we need to increase our price per ticket at the same time if we were going to continue to make our business work. So, what I'm going to share with you today is how we did it. The framework I'll show you resulted in a 26% increase in online bookings, 34% increase in online revenue, and a huge jump in AI referral traffic. I'm going to show you exactly what we changed and why it worked. But before I do that, I want to know where everybody is at. So, those of you who are with us today, if you can jump into the chat, and Nikki, maybe you can just kind of tell me what people are putting in here as it comes in. I want to know how many people are staying in your theater out of every 100. Send it out in the chat. Are you seeing 1 to 2 people or a 1 to 2% conversion rate? Are you seeing 3 to 5 people or a 3 to 4% conversion rate? More than 5, or you really have no idea? Go ahead and post some of those in there, Nick. What are we seeing, Nikki? What are people saying?
D.
We don't know. We don't know. It's what's
A.
funny? What's really funny about this is, you go to Google Analytics to find this. This number doesn't exist in any of your reports. It seems like the number you would want to be seeing, right? But there is this new little tool they've added a while back called the Google Analytics Advisor, and it's up in the upper right-hand corner, and you can actually pop up there, click it, a little side panel will open, and you can ask, what is my e-commerce conversion rate for the last 30 days? And it will tell you. So I'm not surprised that most of you don't know. It's not a number that surfaces that much. But you don't need to jump in there right now. But keep this in your mind as we kind of go, and it would be interesting for you to go see where are you actually at. Or you can get with somebody on our team, and we're happy to look at it for you and help you through it. So, did anybody know, Nikki, what their actual conversion rate was, or was it just a lot of I don't knows?
We had one A.
1 to 2% range. Okay.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me either. The average tour operator website converts at 1 to 3%, which means if 100 people show up, somewhere between 1 and 3 people buy a ticket, and the rest walk out, which is kind of disheartening, right? Like, you spend all this time marketing, you do all this stuff, and you're like, hey, I got so many visitors on my website, and then they all leave. And that's tough. But what is kind of crazy is when you look at the difference that an increase in this conversion rate makes. Okay. So if we take the average and we look at 1 versus 3%, this is what we get. This is the same number of visitors to a website for a year. Same ads budget, everything is the same. The difference between a website converting at 1% and a website converting at 3% is over $700,000. So that's the difference between you being $1 million business versus a $365,000 business, just by changing that one thing. And that's not to say, like, $700,000 is a massive increase. What if we could just increase it by $100,000, right? Like, that would make a significant difference. So that would be a fairly small increase in the conversion rate. So I'm going to show you some real numbers from Moab Adventure Center. This is what happened to our conversion rate after we relaunched a new website using our new Resmark web framework that I'm going to share with you today. Here it is. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brandon, these look like they're at the low end of the average. That's not very impressive. Why are you showing us this? Like my kids would say, wah, wah, wah. But let's look at what a small change actually means. 1% to 1.37% is actually a 37% increase in the conversion rate. And it's happening in tandem with a price increase. And I'll show you what we did with all of that here coming up. Now, price increase, you might think, oh God, I'm nervous to increase my prices more than maybe just the consumer price index, right? Maybe at 3 or 4% is kind of average what I do, but I'm nervous to go any more than that. I'd probably have some blowback and decrease in my bookings, right? So keep in mind, this change right here is in tandem with a price increase. The overall impact on our revenue for 1 month, this is the month of March, increased by $119,000. So, what did we do to make it happen? We identified three main conversion opportunities that we really needed to focus on. Getting more visitors to stay on the website right after entering. This is like that 15-second preview that I'm talking about, right? Don't get up and leave the theater before the preview's over. Like, just stay. And so many people leave within the first matter of seconds on our website, right? They hit it, quickly digest what's there, and go back to wherever they came from. Number two was getting more visitors to start the booking process, right? I can't even think about my e-commerce conversion rate or what happens if I can't get them to actually start the booking process. So that means clicking check availability or clicking book now. I've got to get that step to happen. And then number three is getting more visitors to complete the booking process all the way through payment and confirmation. Okay. So those are the three areas we're going to kind of dive into and look at. And I'm going to leave the presentation here in a minute and we'll look at live examples on the website and dig into all of that. But before we do that, I want to show you what our first step was, because this is so critical. So many people just miss this altogether. And if you miss it, you're going to miss a massive opportunity to get people to actually stay in the theater and just take a look a little bit longer at that preview. So this is what we had to do first. We had to better understand our customer. If we have only seconds to connect with them, enough that they're going to stick around to book a tour, we knew that we were going to have to update our messaging so that it resonates with them on a deeper level. We knew we needed to get inside their heads and understand what was inside their hearts. So, what did we do? We actually took, in our case, we have a lot of reviews, so we took over 1,000 guest reviews and we analyzed all of those guest reviews to figure out what are the key emotional triggers that are going to help drive bookings. Then we took 12 months of Google Analytics history, and there we could kind of understand who our guest is. How are they interacting with the website? What devices are they using? What kind of gender split do we have? What are they doing in terms of time on different pages? What's appealing to them the most? All of these things we can analyze with that analytics history. It's a pretty amazing amount of data. And then we actually took over 3,000 pre and post booking chat logs. So these are the conversations that real people had with both our AI bot that sometimes starts conversations in the off hours and with real humans that we have logged in during the hours that they're present. And we could analyze so much from that. It was super cool because we could go in and see all of the concerns and questions and barriers that people had that were like stalling out the decision or killing the decision altogether. And that was really powerful. Then I actually had someone interview me. One of our Resmark Web team members interviewed me, and I had her ask these 18 key questions that they had so she could get some of my voice and attitude towards certain things. And we mixed all of that together, and we came up with this ideal customer summary report. So I'm actually going to show you this report because I want you to see what this looks like. This is something that we give to our clients initially, really before we start any work. This research process is pretty significant. It's a significant amount of time and effort on our side to pull all of this together, but it's really amazing what you get. So you can see here, I'm kind of understanding, okay, we're talking to couples and families, 29% couples, 27% families, that it's pulling out of the review. And it's looking sometimes for like syntax, that people are like my wife and I, or, my kids, right? It knows family, couples, other things like that. 25 to 64 age range. So that's pretty broad. So we know we're talking to a pretty broad audience. 54% in our case is on mobile. That's actually a little bit lower than some of our clients. So that's kind of interesting, but we know we've got to really focus on it because it's the majority of our people are looking at our stuff on mobile. Um, then we come down here and we learn about the age distribution. How does that break apart? That's kind of awesome to know. We have information on gender. We have information on geographic origin. So, like, where did these people come from? There's certain drive markets there's fly markets, there's international, and I want to understand all of that, right? What are the different group types, device splits? What are their interests? And then we even pull out like certain reviews from the review corpus. We'll pull out things that we know will resonate with our audience based on all of these things that we know. Um, right here, why do they choose us? Creating a lasting family or group memory, vivid enough to become a shared story. Escaping daily life completely, discovering they're more capable than they thought, especially for first timers, being genuinely awestruck by sensory rich, unreplicable landscapes, completing a long held bucket list item, having pure unscripted fun, letting someone else handle all the logistics and just show up. These are pretty cool. And I'm going to show you somebody else's report in just a second so you can see like these do not come out the same. Um, you might be like, well, that's kind of sounds like me. It will dig in and find different things for different companies based on the reviews, and it's very individual, and that's what makes it meaningful. So primary emotional drivers. We actually compare 30 different emotional drivers from this study that Bain and Harvard did. They created kind of this pyramid of emotional, social, transcendent needs, and we put all of that together and analyze it against reviews and all the other data we're collecting to figure this out. The things that hold them back. This is so important. If you're not like figuring out what it is that's stopping people from booking and you're not addressing it in your content and your FAQs on your booking like widgets and stuff, like forget it. You're going to lose a chunk of people. So this piece is so important, and it will actually rank them. Check this out. This is super. I'll show you a table here in a second. It'll actually rank these, like how many times it found this in there, and that's really cool. And that's how it comes up with like this one is high, 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 medium. And then what seals the deal? Like these are the things that are going to help them overcome those barriers, and it will pull those out. The elements of value. How many times did it find different things mentioned in the reviews? Really amazing. Informing people about a location was actually really important. So now we know we've got to really focus on guides, the educational side of the experience that they're getting. People want that when they come to us. That might not be the case for everybody, but it is for us. So we've got to speak that language. Our voice and message, how all of this is going to drive our content, all of that. So you get this cool report. What is it? 9 pages of stuff that not only is going to guide like Resmark Web and building out the website, but it guides all your marketing. So we use this for when we think about rack cards, brochures, mailers, ads, emails, all of it, right? If I can address this in like a display ad on a Google display ad network, a remarketing ad, like those things are all going to be more effective. So it just compounds, right? So real quick, I'll just show you this. This one's another client of Resmark Web, Geronimo Adventure Park. Look how different this is. 25 to 54, 59% female, 79% mobile. That is totally different than what we're seeing. What are their, age distributions, gender, geographic origin? Completely different, right? They're talking about the majority comes from Houston. So, okay, that's a different message. You got to make sure that's on our website. Why they choose them, overcoming a genuine fear and walking away with proof they did it, being fully present with people they care about, experiencing something genuinely extraordinary without leaving Greater Houston. Like these are things that are just not even anywhere near what we found for Moab Adventure Center. Fear to freedom, genuine connection, being unplugged, like group organizer win. So a lot of people are like HR coordinators, church youth directors, birthday moms. Like that is not our audience. It's their audience. So you can't just take a website template and just slap on some good marketing copy and expect to get the same results. It doesn't work. The things that are holding their people back are totally different. Fear of heights, first timer nerves. Like that's not on our list, but it's on theirs, right? So really cool to be able to go through and figure that out. Okay, we're going to jump back into, well, actually, no, I'm going to take you through just a little bit of this on the actual website too. So you can see now, how does that translate? All that stuff we just saw in the ideal customer profile summary, how does it translate into what we see on the website? And we're talking about booking conversion, but the reason I'm starting here is because your booking doesn't start in the shopping cart, right? Like your booking conversion starts like the instant they land on your page. And it may not be your homepage, keep in mind. It could be any page. They could have landed on a blog. They could have landed on a page about Arches National Park in our case, right? What do those pages look like? You got to think about that from every single angle that they enter. You can look at Google Analytics, see landing pages, top landing pages. I would like prioritize what is showing up at the top of that. What are the top 10 places people enter your website? Start there. Like think about what is on those. Do you even have a place for them to get into the booking process on those pages? We've seen some client websites that have like, oh my gosh, you're doing so great. You've got this area map that just wins. It's like everybody's on it, but you look at the page and there is nothing there that tells you about the activities you offer. There's nothing there that's ever going to push somebody into a booking. So what do? They digest the information they came for and go back, close the window. There's nothing there that's leading them, right? So you can see some of the things that we've done here. This is actually, I'll fast forward here for a minute. Some of the changes just made here were actually just barely made. The cool thing about our process is it's not like a one and done. So we do all of this and we've changed all of these things, but we are constantly changing something every single month to increase this conversion rate. So this new website that I'm showing you right here launched in November, last November. So the period I'm comparing is like March of this year to March of last year. March of last year was the old website. March of this year is the new website, but it's after some months of refining and improving that you can get to results like this, right? So we added this just recently so that anybody who lands on the page can see instantly, like, okay, you've won the Best Estate Award since 2004. You got 7,000 4.9 star reviews. That's pretty cool. They scroll down a little bit further. We reiterate some of that. Mention that we're an authorized concessionaire of the National Park Service. These reasons right here came from what you just saw. So that ideal customer profile summary, we're like, what are the things that are really going to resonate? What matters? That's where these came from. Scroll down a little bit further. And what's one of the first things we want to do is get people right into our tours, right? And so you can see, I love this one in particular. Our Arches National Park, little description here, even just your words that you're using, understanding what it is that they want, VIP access to Arches National Park, expert guides, iconic sites, mantle-worthy photos without the hassle of parking or missing key sites. That's what we determined was really resonating with them there. As a result, more people click this button. More people click this button because of the copy that goes back to what they really care about. We're addressing barriers. We're enhancing the things that are their true emotional purchase drivers. And we do that for every single one of these. So when we get into reviews, right? The same thing. I'll show you some of these later on a page, like a trip page, and show you how we're kind of addressing some of those. This line right here, I don't know that I ever would have come up with it, but one of our reviews did. So like, this is some of their language. Your guides felt like family to me, is what they said. And I'm like, that's amazing. Love that. Put it on the homepage, right? Like that was so cool. And had we not really dug into how they describe it, what they care about, all those things, I don't know that I would have come up with that myself. It's a great line. Seems like I should have come up with it, but I don't know if I would have. So all of these types of things, you can kind of see how that's flowing through, right? If we go into one of our pages here, actually, let's jump into our river rafting page. So right here, you can see a couple things that we're doing. So from the very top, I've got a call to action right here. What do I really want them to do on this page? I want them to get into the trip as quickly as I can, right? You landed here. I want you to get to the trips. So they could scroll, but I'm also making it very easy to just click, jump down, and click the next button. And a lot of people will do that, right? They just jumped over our video, whatever. But if they did scroll down, what else am I pointing out, right? A lot of people really wanted to know, like, is this okay for my family? Can we actually do this? So we're pointing out the age component right here. That stress-free planning was super important. That came up in our list. We have an exclusive Riverside barbecue lunch, right? So we point that out. And then coming down here, you can see, similar differentiators, but we're just trying to get people to move down um, the process towards the actual checking of availability. So we give it to them right here because the sooner they can get into it, hey, the better, right? But they might look at a tour page as well. So I'm going to go back. We're going to jump back into this analysis here in just a second, but I'm going to show you back on our presentation here some of what we found. And you can see this in some of the things I just showed you, right? So we found 3 main barriers standing between visitors and booking. Can I physically do this? So here's where we wanted named guide testimonials, um, age 5 to 70, above the fold. We wanted to, get all of this in place, right? So, and then here's an example of a review that our process pulled. I'm a beginner at 59. With Sam's help, named guide, I was able to do everything my sons did in their 20s. Awesome, right? People will relate to that are in the same boat. Is this right for my group, right? A lot of these are around family stuff. So that's where you saw some of those family things that we pointed out. Is it worth the price? This one came up a lot in chat and in other areas. And so this is something we knew we really had to differentiate, right? We got to get the barbecue lunch up there, like I showed you on that one. Guide credentials, the zero logistics promise, all of that is what you saw in the bullet list, right? Layout decisions. We're not just talking about copy, but like we know 54% of these people are mobile. So we're going to handle that really well. Can I do this? That's a big question initially, especially for things like our canyoneering and stuff like that. People really question that. So getting that forward in the Q&A and so forth. 4 questions every visitor needs answered. And then we take these. One cool thing that we do across the board, not just all the messaging, but the other thing that drives layout is what we find working across all Resmark websites. So if we see that we implemented a test on someone's website for conversion rate optimization and it worked well, we'll take that and apply it to other websites that are subscribed to our ongoing conversion rate optimization and SEO services, so that everybody wins. It's kind of cool to be part of that community and learning from that. All right, next one is starting the booking. So we're going to jump into this. I'm going to show you one thing that I think influenced this quite a bit. This is kind of a bit of a surprise to me. Wasn't really totally top of mind when we went through the process, but we actually combined our SEO findings with our ideal customer profiling, and we changed our product names. So this might seem like a small thing, but I think it's one of the drivers that has really helped with this. So a few of the changes, just to give you an example. Horseback midday trail ride went to Castle Valley horseback ride. Colorado river rafting trip became Moab rafting adventure with barbecue lunch. Put it right in the name. Hummer Slick Rock Safari became Hell's Revenge Slick Rock Hummer Tour. Jet Boat Dinner and Night Show became Canyonlands by Night Dinner and Night Show. And you can see the order increases over on the side. These are just raw order numbers during the month of March. I don't think again, not just because of the name changes, but a combination of all these changes we're talking about. So let's jump back out and now take a look at the tour page. So we'll jump over into our full day. So here, I'm going to just walk through this kind of methodically from top to bottom to show you why everything is here. So we've got video front and center right here. When we click into this, we're doing a couple of things. So not only can I play the video here, I can actually, run through a full gallery of all of the images. And imagery is worth the investment, right? If you've just taken a handful of pictures on your cell phone and that's what you got, that's okay. But if you can invest in some professional photography of the experience, it will pay for itself. You can also see within here, sometimes this is when emotion hits, right? This is a little takeaway that we learned from, I think it was Expedia did this and found like a 10% bump in the number of people that were getting into the checkout flow. So, hey, that's great, right? Let's learn from it. This check availability button was implemented and we see similar results. People will get into this and click that to start the booking process because they're here. They don't have to close it and go find the button. It's right there in their face, right? So awesome to have. Moving down the page a little bit, we have, quick way for them to navigate down the page. These just jump down to different sections. So if they're concerned right away about, I just want to read reviews, that's how I shop. Boom, they're right down to it. Want to see the highlights? Go. We are actually building a brand new Western River page right now. So this section, we're experimenting with something a little bit different here. You can see the layout similar because it's a proven layout. We've got an autoplay video right here that this isn't live yet. I'm just showing you behind the scene, kind of on our staging website. But you can see how captivating that is. Like just boom. I am sucked in. There's no audio. If I click it, it'll start from the beginning with audio. But that's pretty awesome. Okay, so we come down. What do we see? I've got my reviews. I can see them here. I can see them here. I am surrounding this check availability button with trust factors. I'm surrounding it with a bit of urgency, a little bit of scarcity, right? Some of these things that are going to help me go, I better do this, right? We want them to click this button. What else is happening here? Notice as I scroll, that sidebar, that button is staying with me, right? The whole time, all the way down the page. If I were on mobile, it would be sticky, stuck, frozen right along the bottom of my phone. So it is always in view and easy to get to. That was a big change from our last site. Our last site did not have that there. It did not have these trust factors surrounding the button. We had just kind of placed them at intervals down the page. And so that was a really big change. This little description right here is key. This is key for two reasons. One is it's super easy to read and digest on your first view, just like, what is this about? Tell me fast, right? I'm just going to read a handful of words. But number two, these little short pieces right at the start, your first piece of copy on the page is often what will get picked up in an AI citation. So that even helps get the visitor get you to show up more there and get them onto the page with some copy that we know is written in a meaningful way. So again, you can see some of the price drivers that we learned about. We're showing that here. The stories you'll tell long after you dry off. That was one of their things that came up in that. And you can see it right there in the copy. We get into details, right? Just really easy to digest. Bam, 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 the little boxes right there. And then highlights. What's included and not included is very clear right there on the page, right? I don't have to dig for it to figure that out. It's right here. We've got a little piece here that is creating a little bit of urgency with this, because this is true. Don't say if it's not true, but if it's true that you sometimes sell out, and you often sell out, like let people know that. So they don't show up and be like, I'll just book it 2 hours beforehand if we want to do it, get them to act now. And then we've got some copy right here, followed by a map. The copy is important for The search engine, I can't expect to have the whole page just have my little tiny blurb, right? You need some depth to the page. You need some information about it. Um, you've got finding us on Google Maps is here. This is actually a recent SEO improvement we're testing right now. So this will associate our rafting trips with our Google Business profile and that local search area where you want to rank, right? That's a combination of pulling those two together. Also, from a conversion standpoint, I think this kind of thing like makes this real, right? Have you ever just been on a site and you're poking around and you're like, are these guys legit? Like, where does this company actually live physically? Like, I want to see a face. I want to see a dot on a map. I want to like know that you're for real, right? Like sometimes, especially when we're booking directly with operators, I think this is why some people go to like a Viator or something because they're like, I don't know, I think they've vetted them and I know I can cancel easy here and I don't have to think about it and I see all the reviews, right? Like there's less of a trust issue. Sometimes booking direct, you have a trust issue. So you got to overcome that, right? And sometimes something as simple as a map can do that where people are like, okay, you're legitimate. I mean, I see you're right on Main Street. This is for real. That can really help, right? And same thing with all your imagery and everything. Your reviews, right? The picking reviews that name guides is really a big deal. If you have those, use them. This one is built to kind of resonate with kids, right? And that's really, really important. This is another piece that we put in here, and I would argue it's a good conversion piece. Like, when someone can see themselves on the tour, when they can visualize, how am I dressed? How am I gonna show up, right? We've just taken away a really big question in their minds. A concern of like, I've never done this before. We knew that was a big deal for us. Like, I haven't done it before. Okay, well, what can we do to help you see yourself doing it? We'll show you. We'll show how you're going to be dressed from head to toe. So you can go, oh, I could dress like her. I can show up for this and I can do this, right? And if you pop through our different tours, you see people dressed for horseback riding with a little fun little cowboy hat on. You see them dressed for canyoneering with a harness on and other things. And we say what we supply and what they're going to bring and all of that. So that piece is really big. Explaining what the vehicle is like, what the raft is like those kinds of things help them make this experience tangible. Don't just think because you have it all in your head, they're going to just decipher that and understand it. It doesn't work that way. Make sure your cancellations are prominent, right? This is a huge factor. And so many booking platforms are like, not really surface this in the checkout process earlier. Like, you got to provide all of this stuff and almost make the booking before you see that. So like, make sure that's like clear, right? And then booking with how do you get people to really book with confidence, right? You can see we're kind of repeating a little bit of what's over here on our sidebar. But this stuff makes a big difference. And then FAQs, right? The cool part about FAQs when you've gone through the process of the research and strategy that I talked about, then you can really figure out what is it that is in people's minds, what's in their hearts. How do I really address it? Because some people just jump right down to this, and go, okay, I'm reading the questions. And then we got a little upselling at the end. Here's another package that includes this trip, plus lodging, plus 2 other activities, and it's a great upsell. And we're seeing a nice uptick on this particular package this year as a result. So that's your tour page, right? Like, you can see every one of these elements is well thought out. Now, it doesn't mean this page is going to stay this way forever. We're constantly testing stuff. We were just talking about like a possible change to starting the page right here, removing this top bar and start here and see what the difference in conversion rate is. Change this to one of those rolling videos. Put the gallery below it. Like, I don't know. Sometimes we just think we have in our heads like, oh yeah, that's going to work good because I like it. But let the data speak for itself. Like, do tests, figure out what really works. I'm very surprised sometimes by the data. I'm like, and I want to argue with the data. I'm like, that's not right. Come on, like, it's got to be something different, And so yeah, Nikki.
Yeah, and the other thing too is don't change a bunch of things at once. I know we said this on the podcast. I think Gray actually is the one that said this. But then you're not going to know what worked, and you're not going to have the full potential and full picture of, the success of it. So test one thing at a time or a few things at a time, not everything at a time.
100%. Yeah. So important. Um, okay, let's jump back in. We're going to cover the booking process next. So now we've talked about getting people to stay on the site wherever they land. We've talked about starting the booking process. So much of that comes from your key tour pages and all of those pieces we just talked about. Now we're going to talk about what happens when they actually click the button, right? They're going to get into the booking process. So I'm going to talk about 3 what I call checkout killers. These 3 checkout killers will cause people to abandon their booking almost every time. I'm going to mention some specific things here, and I'm curious, Nikki, you can help me with this as we go through it. If you're experiencing any of these, I want you to drop them in the chat, and we'll talk about them a little bit, okay? But I'm just going to name them here first. So the first checkout killer is friction. The moment someone clicks book now on most tour operator websites, they get a bit of a jolt. The design changes completely. The branding of your website disappears. It feels like they've left the site and they've landed somewhere else. That moment of like, wait, where am I? Is a checkout killer. The other things that cause friction here are huge walls of text for policies, asking for all of the guest information, like not just the customer, but I want all 6 of you, I want all of your information, and not having a progress indicator. And what I mean by that is like, where am I in the process? Do I have labels for the checkout process so I can see exactly where I am? And go ahead, and if you see some of those, drop them in, and we'll kind of come back to some of these. The next one is doubt. So most checkouts look like this. You come into the checkout, you see a form, you got your name, email, maybe phone number, card number. That's it, right? But what's going through someone's mind? Should I trust this company? They might have just read all this stuff on your page, but as soon as they're in the checkout process, you start questioning it again, right? We're like, our brains just do that. As soon as I'm about to put money on something, I'm like, wait. Should I do this? Should I trust this company? What if something goes wrong? What if I can't get a refund? If there are no reviews visible, no awards displaying, if key product details are missing, those are all going to produce doubt at exactly the wrong moment. So drop it in the chat if you feel like you got any of those kinds of things going on. The last checkout killer is silence. So when someone stalls at checkout, most booking experience give them one option: abandon. There's no chat in the checkout to kind of ask a question. The phone number is often not there or buried. There's no countdown timer that makes the process feel sort of legitimate and real, like, oh, my stuff is being held right now. Drop that in the chat if you feel like, are there any of those that you're finding in your checkout process? What are people saying, Nikki? Do we have any in there that are coming through?
Nothing yet, but
Okay.
please, if you're brave,
Drop
drop it in.
those in there as you
You're
go.
not
I'm going to
the only
show
one.
you. What's that?
I said if they drop it in, they're not the only one
Yeah, for
experiencing
sure.
that.
Absolutely. It's in there. So I'm going to just show you how we address these while you think about this a little bit. So let's go ahead and take the next step here. So we're going to go ahead and move into the checkout. Now, what happened? We actually made this change, and I think it's part of what is improving our conversion rate here. So rather than sort of the generic form I might get a lot of booking platforms just kind of have like a window pops up and it's just sort of a maybe even has the logo of the booking platform on it or something, right? And it's just a different color. It doesn't have your stuff on it. So this still looks like I'm on the website, right? Like you can see all of that here. Let's work down from top to bottom. What do I see up here? Phone number. I've got a progress bar that tells me exactly where I am. I've got my same name of the product. It hasn't changed at all. What do I see on the right-hand side? I've got the same trust factors that I had on the tour page. I've got the same awards, just reminding me. I might have seen them already, but this is the moment again. Our brains are going to start to have questions and doubts, and all of that's going to occur. This is just like reassurance. I select my quantity here, select my date, and what happens? I have a very clear picture of exactly how to visualize myself doing this. Okay, 8 a.m. at the Moab Adventure Center. I'm going to get there 20 minutes prior. Trip's going to start right on time. I'm going to bring shoes and clothes to get wet, hat, sunscreen, retention device for my sunglasses, and waterproof camera or a water-resistant phone case. Items are available for purchase at the store. Okay, they have a store, so I don't have to worry too much about all of this. Great. I've just taken care of a lot of questions, right? Maybe they didn't even read those details back on the other page before this button, but they're going to start thinking about it. Their brain's going to want to know April 23rd at what time and what's going to happen. Make sure that is very clear in the checkout process, right? Okay, I'm going to add it to my cart. What's going to happen is I've got those same trust factors are just following me, right? Plus a little bit more, plus the phone number is now down here as well. And you can see the timer appeared right here. I can see a simplified version of what I had. If I want to get to those details, boom, they're right here again, right? My contact information filled in automatically if I've got that pre-saved in Chrome, which I do, so it filled it right in. I've got all of my policies. This is a change we made from the last version of the checkout process. So this wall, we used to have a longer wall of text, and we actually saw a bump of about 15% less abandonment on this particular part of the process by not having that longer wall of text. I hope people are clicking and reading them. That's kind of the question. But if you were going to scroll through it and not read it before, you're probably not going to click and read it here either. But it's there, and it's going to be on their confirmation, and it's in all those places, and their email is going to have it, and all of that. So then they're going to fill out their card details and confirm. And you can see we've got security being mentioned down here. Again, all of this stuff is following them. The mobile view is really critical as well. Some of these items, you can't show all of these on mobile, but we try to keep as many there as possible. So you can kind of see how we're dealing with friction, how we're dealing with doubt, how we're dealing with silence. And I forgot to mention, like, who's over here in the corner? I've got my little chat icon, right, that they got used to while they were browsing the site. So that's available to them, right? All of those things coming together. And I'm not saying it's perfect. We are still thinking about things we can do to continue to optimize this. Like, it's never a one and done. And that's what makes it kind of fun. I love marketing because of that reason. Like, you're always just like, ooh, what's next? What could we do to improve this even further? And you change it and you go, oh, that didn't work. Change it back. Oh, that change worked. Keep it there, right? And we just keep iterating little by little all the time, and we keep improving that. So that's pretty fun. All right, let me go back to a little summary about where we've been. So this is the process we're talking about. Ideal customer profile research, your reviews, your analytics, your chat logs, the interview. You're outputting that guest profile with purchase drivers, barriers, language, all of that's coming through. You're then creating copy, looking at your reviews, getting very specific language. The headlines and calls to action are coming from your guest data. You're using the proven frameworks that you can see from other websites and so forth. If you're a Resmark web client, you're benefiting from that from other websites within our network. If you're not, you can try to look at other sites that are doing well. Sometimes I like to look at the big players, the Get Your Guides and the Viators and stuff. They obviously have a lot of research going on in terms of how they do things, how they present things. They're testing conversion rate all the time. So that's always a good resource. Ongoing optimization. And I can't stress that enough. It is not a one and done. You do all of these things and then you test and refine regularly. And what happens with this whole thing, I like to refer to it as the compounding effect. So your website becomes the foundation for conversion. Increasing that conversion compounds everything else. You add SEO, every organic visit converts at a higher rate. Add paid ads, your spend goes farther. Every dollar you spend on marketing is now compounded. And here's the biggest thing. If you get all of this in place, you may be able to raise your prices and send additional revenue right to the bottom line as profit. And that's what we were able to do. And I feel like this is kind of one of the most exciting parts of this. So all of these things are coming together to increase conversion, but they are also increasing value in the mind of the customer. They are increasing the number of people that enter the theater and stay because they're connecting with our message. So we're able to do some amazing things. Some of these prices were increased as much as 44% on the horseback, 94% on our private tours, 12% on other tours where we're doing huge volumes. And you can see the difference that it made in revenue. And the nice thing is, again, that additional margin, once we kind of go beyond where our costs had increased to, that can go right to the bottom line as profit. So when all of this stuff runs together, kind of going back to where we started, we were able to see a 37% increase in conversion, 31% increase in orders, 119 increase in online revenue. And a significant, we didn't really talk about this too much, but I think one of the cool side effects of just reworking the site and doing some of the things that we built were having a pretty significant jump in our AI referrals and AI referral revenue. This stuff converts at like 5% plus, much higher than our other conversion rate because they come in just trusting it already. So one thing I want to offer everybody here today is an opportunity report. So this isn't a commitment or anything. It's just something we will run. Now, these take some time for us to run, so we're just committing to 10 of these this month. We'll jump into some questions in a minute, but I want to tell you a little bit about what this is. I'm going to actually show you an example of it. So let me jump back out here and just show you what this looks like here. Okay, this is it. So this is what we'll run for you. There's no cost or anything. We're happy to put this together if you're curious to see what it would yield. Sometimes we're like, should I really take time with all this stuff that Brandon's talking about today? Like, is it really worth it? What would it amount to for me? Like, Moab Adventure Center is a different company and they're bigger than I am, or they, whatever. All these things might be going through your head. So we normalize all of that. Like, let's look at it for your data and see what it is. Maybe there's not a big opportunity there. Now you know. Maybe there is. And that would be cool to know, right? So what we'll do is we put this together. It explains a little bit about what I talked about today. So you'll see all of that. But then we're going to actually go in and analyze your current SEO state. So we'll pull that in because without traffic, there is no conversion, right? So we look at that first. Figure out how many pages do you have live, how many keywords are in the top 3, how many do you have that you could actually win that are like pretty close to the top, but not quite there yet. There is a huge difference between being like number 4 in Google and number 1. Huge difference, night and day. So if you can move up those spots, massive, massive win. So then we'll actually break down what are your top performing pages, what are the keyword opportunities? And we'll go through and see in your area for your tours, how are people finding them? What are they searching for? How much volume is there every month? I think this is really cool to see across the board for all of these, right? And then we will take your current website structure. So we'll totally understand like, okay, what does your site look like right now? What kind of pages do you have? How are they ranking? What does that look like? And then we'll give you a proposed sitemap. And we'll go through and say, these are what we're proposing. Some of them are brand new. Some of them you should rebuild and optimize. And we'll put all of that together. And so you'll have a map. Like If you said, I just want to do this on my own, great. You've got a map to help point you in the right direction. If you're like, this is super cool and I want Resmark Web to help me out with it, great. We can help you out with it. So, like I said, it doesn't matter. But here's the really cool thing on this. You will get this whole, if you decide to move forward with us with this, you will get a full blueprint before a single page is written. So we take what we've kind of done, I call this tip of the iceberg stuff, right? Like we've figured out a few things on this for you, but we will give you a full blown, what is the purpose of every page? What are the keywords? What is the target? What are we going to do with it? And we'll even give you like a full visualization of the new website. What is it going to look like when we put it all together? So you can just see this. This is what we do before we ever get started. And then here's the big question. What is all of this worth in revenue, right? Because if it isn't worth much, none of this matters that we're talking about. So you got to figure this out. What is your current website conversion rate? Again, ours is 1%. What would that look like if we were able to get a little bit of a bump in it? What if we captured a little more volume? And sometimes those numbers can be pretty surprising, right? What is your conversion rate opportunity? So we said, okay, our current one was 1%. What if we can go to 1.3? We got to 1.37, right? Is where we ended up. There's our annual revenue upside. Now, our revenue upside is going to be more than that because we also increased prices. That was not a factor in this report. We were like, let's do this. Let's increase prices at the same time, right? And it was kind of a risky thing. I was like, oh no, should we do this? And we did it and saw awesome results, right? And then one of the really cool things you'll get at the end of this is 3 things that you can do. You can do these on your site right now if you want to. We'll pull them out for you and call out like you should build this. We're doing all 3. Well, we're vacillating on this third one, but we're doing these 2 right now. Actually, building a whole Canyonlands National Park as a destination hub, and we're building this Hell's Revenge page. They were things that surfaced in that process that were not. Even though we're doing this all the time, they were not there for me, like in my line of sight. So that was pretty cool. All right. So hopefully you can see kind of what you're going to get if you decide to do this report. Now, Nikki has put this in the chat, I believe. You can click that link, fill out the form. We'll run with the first 10 that fill that out, and we can get to the others. It'll take us longer, but we can circle back to others the following month. But we just like to take time and get these right. So we're gonna open it up for questions here in a minute. If you have questions on anything we've talked about, we're coming up to the top of the hour here. Go ahead and put those in. I'm going to answer very quickly just 4 questions that we get all the time, and then we'll jump over to any other questions that you guys have. So this might answer a couple of your questions. First question we get is, will this actually work for my business? So here are the reasons we know it will. We're seeing other operators like you seeing real numbers, right? And that's enough. I mean, we just look at the data and say like, yeah, this is working. Maybe it's not exactly conversion rate that increased. Maybe it's just online revenue for different reasons. Maybe it's other things, right? They're getting more volume and having more throughput. The other thing is we work exclusively with tour and activity operators. So you get the benefit of the patterns that are working for other businesses. We can apply them to yours. That's really cool to be part of a network like that. And we don't, I wish I had more time to show you some of our other client websites because they're awesome, but you would find that they are all very different. They're not built around just a cookie cutter template and they all look the same like you get with some agencies out there. And they're built on all of that research and strategy. So when that Geronimo Adventures website gets done, it's going to be very different from the Moab Adventure Center website because you saw how different the inputs were, right? The other question is, and this is a good one for right now. Oh, wait a minute, my season is starting. Isn't it bad timing to be even thinking about this? I got to do it in the off season. So here's the interesting thing we found. Operators who start about 8 to 12 weeks before their peak season start seeing some of the best results during that season. It's actually a great time to switch. You've got more traffic, more eyeballs on the site. We learn more, and you can get the result of that compounding effect quicker. If you get a bump from one to 1.2 or 1.3 or better, you get more bookings from the same traffic, right? That's not spending more on ads or staff or anything. It's just math and it works. So if you're thinking about that, just take the first small step this week, get the opportunity report. There's no commitment or anything. You can decide if the time frame makes sense. How long does it take? So this can vary, I have to say, based on the size of the site. We have some sites that are hundreds of pages. That's a much bigger project, right? Average websites, though, take about 90 days to build. The first few weeks are research and strategy. We front load that, build the foundation, everything we talked about in this webinar. The fourth week, once we have all of that, we work on the design direction. You get a brand kit that will drive the direction of the website, but also doubles as your guide for every marketing asset you do going forward. And then weeks 5 to 12, we build the site and we launch it. And as we work through it page by page, when we finish major sections, you will have a chance to kind of review that direction, make sure we're going in the right direction, and then approve the whole thing and we go live. And then the important thing is after launch, we're not done, right? Like, honestly, we're just getting started. Like, this is where the monthly reviews and the continuous conversion rate optimization, SEO, AIO, all of that stuff keeps going after you launch. All right. And the last one, how much does this cost, right? I'm sure that's in everyone's heads too. So it's $2,500 up front. That gives you your ideal customer profile report, that SEO sitemap, the brand kit, all of that research is done with that. And again, you can use it across all of your marketing. There is huge value. I think it should be more like $10,000. Like, it is so much research that we put into that. And it's so valuable to have as a company. And it pays for itself, right? Like, so quickly. And then the monthly starts at about $13.50 a month. That includes your full custom website build out. It includes ongoing SEO, AI optimization, conversion rate optimization, and we keep doing that. And one of the questions we often get is like, why can't you just be done with a website? Why not just pay for that and call it good? But I think everybody's aware of this. Like, AI is changing how guests search hugely. Google's algorithm is always changing. Guest behavior is changing. The people who stay ahead today are changing with it. They're paying attention. They're investing in constant testing and change. And that's how it works. Sometimes changes in SEO and things like that take months, months of effort to see results. And that's really important to remember. So we try to make incremental changes regularly and just keep improving the process. So people are still walking out of your theater without a ticket. So let's fix it. All right. Questions? Anything that came through, Nikki, that we want to address here before we wrap it up?
No questions so far, but if anybody has any remaining questions, one question that we get often, Brandon, that maybe you can answer quickly is how long does all of this take? Like, if I start utilizing Resmark Web, the website launches, but then when am I going to start seeing results from ongoing SEO optimization, CRO, and all of that?
Yeah. The really cool thing is, like, on the conversion rate optimization, I'll just speak from our own experience with our website, Nikki. When you launch a new site, I would say the SEO piece is a little bit tougher, right? Like, when am I going to start seeing more traffic? And there's so many factors that go into that. Sometimes, depending on how much momentum your site had already, how much traffic it had, sometimes you can start to see a little bit of bump. Sometimes you actually see a decrease, right? When you redo a whole bunch of site, Google kind of says, "Whoa, this site changed a lot. Let's sort of pull back until we reassess what they've done." And so sometimes you see it kind of dip and then come back and then really surpass it. So that period of time to see, like, more traffic can sometimes be 6 to 12 months, right? Like, that's what you got to get in your head realistically. But the conversion rate piece I think you can start to see results from that within the first 30 days. I mean, it is if you've made some of these major changes and you still have the same traffic coming into the site, that's where I'm like, those in-season changes can be really powerful because they don't take as much time to take effect. If you have some ads budget or you're using Resmark Web to manage your paid ads, that's traffic that you're getting to the site, and every dollar you're spending there is going to convert better once they hit the site. So, I don't know if you'd add anything to that, but that's what I see.
Yeah. And then real quick, because I want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know we're past the hour, is this is in tandem with all of your other marketing efforts, right? So you have a good social media strategy happening. You're doing ongoing email marketing. Maybe you are running paid ads. This is just a layer on top of that, right? To really help you reach your goals. And that's really important to know too. Um, Dino said, "We are a seasonal business with a gross revenue of 250,000 CDN." Is that Canadian dollars? Would I see a significant increase that would justify the monthly cost close to $2,000 Canadian? It's a really
I
good question.
yeah, I mean, on a smaller website, I think it's it's worth maybe running that report. There are a lot of factors that go into that, like, where are you operating? How many people are really there searching for your particular experiences that you're selling? Without really doing that research, it is hard to answer that question. Um, Sometimes we do that research and it's like what you're offering and the location you're offering it in, there's just not that many people looking for it. And it kind of is what it is. You can think about a product pivot maybe, and we can see what's more popular. Sometimes we just have something in our heads like, "I wanna offer this experience," and nobody's really looking for it. We've had that happen with certain products we've thought were amazing, and we tried to add them, but there just wasn't search volume, and they never got off the ground. So it's like, okay, but if I can see, people really search a lot for rafting in Moab, it's a very high volume search on a monthly basis, and I know I can get a piece of that traffic, then I might see more results. And some of it depends on the current website momentum. Sometimes we have people that come to us and they're like, brand new startup type company, no momentum, brand new website. Those are really, really tough. I mean, people have to get in their heads like, it's going to take a long time. People don't they don't just launch a website and start seeing results. Sometimes that takes years. Takes years of you building up your business in other ways before you have enough traffic and reviews that you become legitimate and trustworthy. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
All right. I think that's it with the questions. If anybody else has additional questions, please email us. You have Brandon's email there, but mine is just Nikki at, and it's the same email. Scott as well. Thank you all for joining us on today's webinar. We are going to post a replay today, tomorrow morning at some point. So I'll send it out to you just so you have it in your back pocket. But as always, give us some feedback, and we can't wait to see you on the next webinar, which is what stage, Brandon? After booking is?
What follows booking in our process? The experiencing, right?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I gotcha. We'll see you on the experiencing stage webinar. All right, everybody. We'll see you.